What is up, guys? So last patch we took a look at a few Korean picks that were doing better in 6.9. You seem to enjoy it, so I've done some more stalking and I have 7 picks right now in 6.10 that are doing a whole ton better. Remember, the whole point of this video and why we look at Korea specifically for this is because they play and theorycraft a ton more than we do, so they're normally good at figuring out newer picks. I'm thinking I might try and do a little bit of stalking and find new stronger champs every patch, and if you want to see that, then throw this video a like and let me know in the comments. So the first one is actually Olaf. I was tempted to put him in last patch, but I wanted to keep an eye on him and do some more research. Remember as well, I'm not going to be talking about the actual champion in general too much, but what makes him specifically good right now. So in Korea, he has a top 5 win rate this patch at the moment, and part of that is going to be because of the new Black Cleaver. It's disgusting on him. He applies the stack so fast with his W. His E is already doing true damage, and now his auto attacks are going to be doing a ton more because they don't have any armor. He is literally the ultimate tank killer top lane right now, but he does well versus squishy champions with that kind of cute axe poke as well. There are a few things that make him specifically really good right now, so like Jinx and Twitch are really popular and they can't do anything. Any immobile AD carry is basically completely screwed. You have the speed up on your ultimate and Olaf is just gonna run at you and kill you. It's depressing. The immobile mages can't do anything either. He is a tank naturally, like he builds full tank after Black Cleaver, so he fits this kind of meta anyway. He's very strong early, his TP ganks are good, you have the perfect kind of situation for some dragon control, you get that lead, you get your team ahead, and you snowball. Next up, we're actually going to stick with the top lane. Remember a few months ago, I made one of these videos and I said how Pantheon was just dicking on everyone at high elo? Well, he's back doing it again. He got nerfed a little while ago and people stopped playing him, but I think that was actually more to do with the meta than the nerfs. Pantheon sucks versus tanks. He has a top 5 win rate in pre-35 minute games. First before 25 minutes, second before 30, and after that he kind of sucks a little bit, same as before. This pick has always been there just to crush your lane, right? You roam around with your ultimate, you get every dragon, you get you and your team a big lead that you can then end with before it's too late. The Black Cleaver buff is insane for him as well. You stack it instantly with your E, basically like a Korean Lucian build, but it's just a ton better on Pantheon. I did watch a few replays with Pantheon to see why he has such a high win rate, and literally every single time his ultimate is available, they're going to push and use it on another lane. They don't just sit in lane and poke, they roam constantly. Now third up is Misfortune, probably one you didn't expect to see. I'm going to be doing a proper video on this pick soon because I think she could be a really hidden pick that's overpowered if you play her properly. I think it's funny that actually people view her as a lane bully. She is, I guess, but she's actually most effective in a team fight. Mid to late game, her damage is insane, and that is where she takes over. The Korean Lucian build actually works on her as well. Armor pen means your abilities do an insane amount of damage, increase your ultimate damage too, but there is a divide though. Your ultimate can crit, so Infinity Edge and Essence Reaver is still really good. Right now we're actually maxing our Q instead of our E. We're not maxing that anymore and running further battle instead of Thunderlords like a normal AD. We've kind of gone from this cheesy max E and spam poke build to an actual AD carry. Now we can bully other picks in lane and hold our own, even against Lucian. She's one of the few people who can actually spank Lucian in lane. You have a crazy team fight from really far away, out of danger, you just press R and it does the job for you. I'd actually kind of class that as utility, even though it's damaging killing stuff, because you're so far away but you can have such a big impact. Your autos still hurt, but so does your ultimate. So the Infinity Edge build gives your ultimate crits and stupid damage. The Black Cleaver build means you do massive AoE armor shredding and damage. It's kind of disgusting. The downside is you suck versus assassins, but at least you can kind of ultimate from miles away and stay a little bit safer. Now we're actually going to stick with another one you probably didn't expect, Sion. Top Sion you probably did expect, but what about support Sion? He's been pretty decent for a few patches now. You have good base damage, you can build tanky, and you fulfill a similar role to like a Braum really. You absorb damage, you can knock up with your ultimate or engage, you slow with your E and knock up with your Q. Top Sion is still doing really well in Korea, okay? Don't get me wrong, new defensive items work really well on him. You're good versus carry laners and tanks, and you kind of pack more of a punch than most of the others. He is very high impact in Korea, similar to Pantheon. Really, every time your ultimate is up, you're going to use it. You either get a kill in lane, or you get back to lane with it and save your TP, or you just ult down a lane to gank someone. Right now, whether it's top or support, they both provide a very big frontline, crowd control, and some natural damage. I don't know if you've ever laned against a Sion support before, but it's actually kind of horrible. He can do a lot of damage and he takes a lot of punishment. Most are actually maxing their E right now, so you can poke heavily as well. It really does fit into this tanky style of meta, right? It lets our top laner or our jungler play more carry picks while still having engage and a tank to absorb damage. Now let's move on to the mid lane for this one I actually predicted in my 6.10 video, Anivia. The buff was pretty big for her, it kind of made her feel a lot smoother, and the new items have only made her stronger really, especially Rod of Ages. It's cheaper, means it's better in lane, and you get to your other items sooner. Now that is kind of a blessing and a curse in disguise though. Her base damage is insane, okay? That's kind of what carries you really hard early, but late game you can be a little bit outmatched. You're not as high range as other stuff, you're a control mage, you kind of struggle to get in range to use your E, and you're best when the enemies are actually chasing into you, which is not too common. In Korea right now, Anivia is stomping games before 35 minutes, but she's pretty bad in ones that last over 40. So specifically right now in 6.10 after these buffs, you are decent in this mage meta anyway. You have good damage early, and you can somewhat fight assassins actually, plus you have the egg if they do manage to nuke you down. I know I've said the word damage a lot when talking about Anivia, probably a bit too much, okay, but Riot have just gone a little bit too far in buffing her this patch. I think she's so good. Something that's not as obvious as just getting blown up by her, I guess, is that if you actually get ahead early, they need to focus you, right? But they need to kill you twice because of your egg in a team fight. That is no fun. That's really hard to do. Okay, two more. Staying with the mid lane, kind of, but more top lane actually, with Swain. He got buffs this patch just like Anivia and kind of went a little bit overboard, just a little bit. It's not this full tank build that we've seen kind of over here as much. Rod of Ages, Zhonya's, Rylai's, Vigil's, Deathcap are all really good. The Q buff to execute minions is insane. That is kind of the problem right now. People are maxing their Q, then W, then E most of the time. With Deathfire Touch, your Q does so much damage. He does have a top 5 win rate after the patch so far, but it's a bit too soon to say whether he's actually overpowered or not. Morellonomicon is pretty good counter to him and basically core on every mage right now. This is one of the reasons why Swain in Korea is being played top a lot more. Against bruisers, he can poke and punish them, he can deny them farm, and the same thing for tanks. He can free farm and maybe even kill them as well. He's definitely very item reliant though, so you're not the best early into the game, but he becomes a little bit unkillable in team fights with the Zhonyas. Now that his ultimate scales with a base number and not damage done, he doesn't need to worry about pen items at all. He just sits in the middle of a team and heals up. So I left this one until last because I mentioned Zilean in my underrated video, but he's not that underrated in Korea and actually very interesting. It's very rare for a support to have a win rate in the way that Zilean does. He's one of the best late game supports. That's why I wanted to talk about him. It's funny because he's actually one of the worst late game mid laners. It's a complete flip, but he's one of the best early. This is kind of a battle between utility and damage. So the damage is more effective earlier, but the utility is way better for a late game team fight. Right now we're keeping a Twitch or a Jinx alive or a big beefy tank that they have to kill twice, which is no fun. Trust me, as an AD carry, I do not want to have to kill a tank twice. It's very effective though versus meta picks. You have burst mages and assassins you can counter with your ultimate. You slow against tanks, which makes kiting so easy and lets AD rip through them. It's really underrated. Your double stun can be game changing, and basically it's like mid lane you pick for the early game. You group up, you use that ultimate to dive easier, you double stun, and you have that bomb damage. The support is kind of average in lane. You can double bomb for some good damage and the stun, which is insane for a trade, but that is about it. Late game his kit becomes amazing utility wise, and that is really what is making him such a good support right now in Korea. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and my stalking and kind of some like preemptive insight into patch 6.10. Remember to like, subscribe, comment and share, but for now let's go to the robots.